Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here on a Sunday, and happy Mother's Day to all of you and everyone listening. Certainly disappointed. We weren't having official talks for the past 5 days. We put a significant offer on the table, cutting over $200 million in revenue and spending in each of the 2 years for $400 million. That was after we did an initial downturn of our first budget on 2019 with the forecast when it came out. We've been waiting for a proportional counteroffer to come from the Senate, and we have yet to receive that. So we think it's a great starting point to bring back that counteroffer that actually tries to meet us midway, always with the understanding that we've been very clear that our top priority is to create a budget that invests in Minnesotans, in their education, in their health care, invest in our communities across this state in terms of community prosperity, that invests in things like broadband in rural communities, make sure we have local government aid in those communities, but also understands the things that make Minnesota strong and resilient is having one of the best education systems in the country. So we'll wait for that offer, and we know that we've got work to do over the next few days. So.
Governor, how much have you come down then from the original? Because you mentioned the night it was original, then you revised it down, and you're down again. So what's the total over the 2 years that you've come down?
Thank you. And our February 19th initial budget, that of course we were inaugurated on the 7th, and our first proposal was to get that budget out. We then followed 2 weeks later with the budget forecast came out. At that point in time, we reduced our overall revenues and spending by 5% of the requests that we put forward. In this offer, we did another 10%, which ended up being $200 million for each of the biennium. So we've come down over $500 million and expect a proportional offer. And when I say proportional offer, understanding that Minnesota is in the position that it's in, and our revenue growths are strong because of the budgeting that had been put in over the last several years. Governor Dayton's proposal of investing in early childhood education are starting to pay off. Our families who have a place to have good daycare are starting to pay off. Innovation in housing are starting to pay off, and that workforce and workforce development are paying off. So we're not going to allow that to be jeopardized, but we simply have made a real attempt to try and reach some compromise.
How frustrated are you that you don't feel like they're meeting you in the middle at all?
Well, some of you heard me say this. I supervised the lunchroom long enough. My frustration level is pretty low burn to get there, but this one is time's ticking. I think it's would be the proper thing. And again, I'm not asking them what I think would be a proportional number, but I am asking them to move in something in our direction and not tell us we're going to start using our rainy day fund or pulling funds out of places that don't exist, or basing it on forecasts that will not actually show any real revenues for the next 6 to 8 months should it continue to go that direction. So I am frustrated because, I mean, Minnesotans were pretty clear to me about those priorities they want to see, but they also were very specific. And this is over years of being out there listening to them, work together to make government function. I'm still hearing no. You heard it again, that there are red lines. You're not hearing that from us, but I'm still hearing that there's red lines on things we can't do. It doesn't matter if there's a big story in southern Minnesota telling us that our transportation's at a tipping point, and every single county commissioner and city manager and civil engineer was interviewed for it and said, yeah, we got to do something, that this is going to be catastrophic. And yet we're still hearing no. So yeah, my frustration level is growing, but I'm still here. We are still standing here. We are still prepared to do what's right for Minnesota and find some working grounds.
Are the red lines still the gas tax and the provider tax? Is that
Pardon
the red
me?
lines when you talk about red lines?
Yeah, they've seemed to said that over and over again, and we're simply making the case, and again, I can't stress it enough. There is no one that deals with healthcare in a credible manner. 160 organizations from AARP to Catholic Charities, 141 hospital administrators are all telling us the catastrophic nature of what will happen to healthcare across Minnesota, and wishful thinking is not a plan for that. So that's the one that they're talking about. Those are the pieces that they've apparently said we can't. We apparently can't invest in our roads, bridges, and transit, and we can't invest in Minnesota's healthcare.
So you need to get done by the end of this week, essentially, to be able to print the bills in order to get them to the floor by Monday. Is that realistic? Do you think you'll be able to reach a deal by
Well,
the
it still
20th?
is. It's going to take some. It's going to take some meaningful movement to come forward. That's right. We have the revisioners who write the bills. We have folks. We have, we've got legislators who were sent here who want to debate this and get some things done. And then we have to do it in an orderly manner. And again, it's not as if there's a single person in Minnesota did not know the 20th of May was when we needed to get done. Back planning from that, which we were able to, I think, keep on track. But now we're about 8 days out from the end of that, and you're right, it takes a few days to get it done. We need to see some meaningful movement.
There are no new taxes caucus right now. That's what they've been telling you. They've been telling us that. What is the end game for this session if they maintain a no new taxes position?
Well, not good, obviously. And again, if you want to blow up democracy, if you are simply no on everything, and again, we had 4 months of no hearings on gun control, no hearings on climate change, no hearings on many of the things that I would consider to be important. That's a real problem when you have people who are driven in. I only half facetiously mentioned at one point in time, if I passed across the table the cure to cancer and said it will take you raising $10 million of revenue so that we can get this out, they would say no, because they are married to the philosophy. It's a question that I ask them. I said, what is the purpose of taxes? What is the purpose you're getting to? Because you'll quote me a lot of numbers, but what are the purpose of those taxes? If they're a way that an organized society improves the quality of life, whether it's the protection of our children, the protection of our resources, whether we invest in things that research that return money, what is the purpose? If the end and the means is in itself a reduction of a rate, regardless of the return on it, that's nonsense. And when I ask that question, I'm getting silence. I'm getting silence on what is the purpose of taxes. I certainly could tell you.
Sorry, what's the plan for tomorrow now?
Yeah, we're still waiting. There may be tonight that we're going to make ourselves available. We're around as long as it takes. My mantra on this is that we are on call 24/7. We are ready to be here within about 15 minutes notice at any given time. And I think it's just going back, and it might go to Peter's question. I think there's some people probably answering that question. We have told the House of Representatives, and we have told the governor and the people of Minnesota that we are just doing nothing on these things. And it doesn't matter if there's a return on the investment or not. That does not matter. And they're going to have to go back and ask, because Minnesotans were very clear, they are not a no caucus. They are not no to everything that gets proposed. They're thoughtful. So we'll see. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, thanks so much.
There was no offer tonight from Senator Gazzo? There was nothing from...
No offer.